What's up, Rebels? I'm Bonding with ASG. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going over the second part of the leaked information courtesy of Kexi themselves. Once again, they've had a little bit of a fuck up and we've taken full advantage of it. Thanks to all of the guys over in the war rooms who have screenshots of all of the prizes for the next two events. We've already gone over all of the events for the Crossfire event, and you can catch a link down in the bottom for that one. As far as the Scorched Earth event, now this one's set up to be just as exciting as the previous one. Once again, we'll be seeing more Demon Core ships being integrated into the event, as well as the prizes themselves. This time around, we've got the Hellfire battleship, and while it's not quite as intimidating as the Covenant cruiser, it's still pretty damn threatening, as it's got 7 weapon slots in total. That's more than any battleship, with the exception of the Dread and Fury marked upgraded to level 4. Even still, that means marked upgrade, this thing will have 8 weapon slots. Now the funny thing about it is its 2 special slots don't even fit on the blueprints themselves. They're sticking out on the side of the ship with no place to put them. That's how many weapons this thing has. It's literally just like weapons for days. It's got so many weapons you can hardly fit anything else on it, which means that it's going to be completely reliant on its firepower. If you get close enough to actually deal damage, you should be able to take it down relatively quickly, as even its special as basically gives you extra percentage towards weapon mass instead of the usual other Iron Star ships which do armor mass. So it's only got 1 armor slot and 1 shield slot, which isn't going to do very much good if anyone gets in range short of a frigate other than that. Now it does have 10,000 mass, so you can fit a pretty good amount, and of course that'll go down with each and every mark upgrade, or rather the percentage based on weapons will go down, so you'll be able to add more of your overall total to that as you mark upgrade it. It's got 2,000 health and over 175,000 cargo capacity, so it's a fairly decent battleship, definitely a lot better than the Vigilante battleship in my opinion, but overall I think I would prefer the Covenant cruiser to the Hellfire battleship. It'll be pretty interesting going up against them in the event, as they're most likely going to be our competition. Now, next up on the list, we've got the Skirmish armor. This one also pretty interesting, definitely a must-have, even though it's limited to Iron Star only. It gives you a 20% reduction in energy and explosive damage to your hull and armor to that particular ship. Now, what that means is that projectiles are going to still be able to do the same amount of damage, plus or minus any kind of additives you have onto those projectile weapons. On top of their 20% reduction, they come in somewhere between the Zen 4 and Zen 5 with a mass of 480 tons, giving you roughly 660,000 armor protection. So it's fairly decent, fairly high up on the actual armor rating, especially with a 20% reduction added on top of that. So in all, I've got to say it's one of the items of this particular event that I'm wanting to go for, and I hope I can grab. Now I can do without the Hellfire battleship, simply because marking it up is going to be pretty hellish, but okay, shut up, I know Hellfire, bah. Anyways, point being is, the Skirmish armor I can see very useful, especially since a lot of us have the Iron Star cutters, or like for me, I have the Heretic cruiser and the Vigilante battleship on top of that, all Iron Star ships that can benefit pretty greatly from this armor. Next up on the list, we've got the Brimstone torpedoes. To put it simply, at their maximum range, they explode into an area of denial fragments, meaning that anything that goes in them might as well be walking into the mines on your base. They have a DPS of 40 with a max range of 5,000, minimum range of 2,000. They travel just about the same speed as Sickos, but the difference is I believe that they'll only be able to fire one at a time, whereas Sickos are a constant spread of fire. On top of this, the AoE is also comparable to the Sickos as well, so you can guess it's going to be a fairly decent spread. There's only about a 50-meter difference, so it won't be very noticeable. Now, that's what my estimate for those are going to be. They seem fairly useful, and overall, that area of denial sounds extremely useful if you couple with the volatile fuel ability you'll gain from the Crossfire event. It could be very useful in setting up a line of defense, especially if you're using battleships. Now, the next one on our list is actually pretty interesting. It's called the Arc Beam, and this is one of the questions that I had for Lex, was primarily what makes it better than the Impulse, and he told me that while it does seem in the stat wise from what we can see it does not look better, he's told me, trust me, it is going to be better overall, especially considering it's limited to destroyers. It might not be so bad picking it up. Supposedly it's going to have a short charge time, but it's going to have a long beam time. In other words, it charges up fast and it fires for a long continuous amount of time, which could be pretty useful for, say, Insta Tridents, which kind of using on and off. They're doing pretty good. They're doing all right in the coinless war, or the civil war, whatever we want to call it this time around. Overall, this particular weapon seems pretty cool. It's got the longest range in the energy-based category, which extends past the echoes by 100 meters, and basically it's a sniper for the energy-based class. Overall, there's not much else, but because it's limited to destroyers, we'll get to see how well this weapon really shines once we get our hands on it. With 66 DPS, it seems like it could be a fairly useful weapon, especially since that's only about a 4-point difference DPS to the impulse. So the range, coupled with the fact of it's having a long firing rate with a short charge up time, could make them extremely useful. Now this next one, it's more of on the fence of what you like to play with. Now Lex told me this is going to be one of his favorites because of what it does. To me, I'm just kind of like on the fence. I don't think it's going to be as useful as he thinks it will be. The blister rounds basically increase hull damage for explosive based weapons, but the catch is it's demon corpse only. So meaning that only so far the Hellfire battleship and the Covenant cruiser are the only two ships that will be able to use it. And to me, that is a big downside to it. I'll attempt to get it if I can, as I've already got all of the older prizes, which I'll go over in just a moment. Basically, it makes it a little useless for me because I don't really need it. So with that being said, it's not a bad one, but it's one of those, they're getting into the specifics of classifying what can be used for what class of ship or which type of ship, which might not necessarily be a bad thing, but it's going to limit what we go after. For me, blister rounds is definitely going to be one of the last ones. So unless we get any kind of new information, most likely the direction that I intend to take is going to be the Brimstone torpedo, followed by the Archer beam, then most likely the Hellfire battleship, followed by lastly the blister rounds. I've got all of the old tech, but I'm still going to go over them real quick. We've got the Machete destroyer, which is an Iron Star class ship, the Gemini driver for ships, the Aurora ray for ships, the Wave driver for ships, and the Gatling ray for base. Overall, if you need a destroyer, go for the Machete. It's not bad, even though you can always just farm for the blueprints and get a fairly decent destroyer. If you don't have, I would say, Aurora rays, that's probably the best weapon out of all of them. Gemini drivers are alright because they have that decent kind of, mid to far range type for projectiles, but overall, it's probably going to get outclassed very soon. The Wave drivers, also projectile based type, that can basically deal extra damage directly to hulls. Overall, it's kind of like having phase built in. Gatling rays, yeah, don't waste your time. I can spend an entire video going over why Gatling rays are not worth it. Now, overall, what we understand is they're going to continue this trend of having weapons and armors and specials and things like that class specific. They're either going to be class specific or kind of gen specific, like either the Iron Star, I don't know if they're going to do Rebel or if they're going to do Vega, but they're going to start specifying what we can. And overall, I'm not sure how well that's going to work out. It could work out in favor for the balance and the meta of the game, or it could just cause a lot of players a lot of frustration, and I'm hoping against that. I want this to work out because I think it might be best overall. It would stop KXI from having to do what they do to their game, which pisses us off, which is basically causing the coinless war, or however it was dubbed. I can't remember exactly. I think it was like the coinless war or something of that nature for this civil war this time around, but it would stop us from having to do things like that, and hopefully it would also improve relations between the players and KXI themselves. Alright, Rebels, I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, live streaming in just a couple of hours after this video goes live, we're going to be doing Doom once again. So, come and join us, have a little bit of fun, and as always, burning out.